So we see how the Soul Society, after being attacked by the Quincy's, we see everyone else have been injured critically, knowing of how they actually going to have all of the other Soul Reapers recover from their injuries, and even those who are actually in critical conditions. So we knew how they are actually suffering from their injuries due to the Quincy attacks, by which Ichigo is one of the few who are treated for his injuries, in which we see how Rukia and Renji are actually recovering from theirs, knowing of how Rukia is telling Ichigo that her brother is alright, knowing of how everyone else isn't so great because of how they've lost their head captain, knowing of how they are upset because the only thing left is his sword, which they actually found it because his body was never recovered. After his battle with the Quincy King, we actually knew that they are not in a mood for any reports, which we knew how Shunsui have actually told everyone what would the head captain would do if they argued. However, we see Kurosuchi that Ichigo's Bankai was broken, in which two parts, which is the Shinkai and the Bankai, are damaged completely. But in order for Ichigo to repair his Sanpato, he had to put the owner's mind spiritual pressure into the Sanpato. But in order to do that, we knew how they're gonna get some help from the other squad, which they are the Squad Zero, knowing of how they are actually found out that they have actually here, which they have already here, which they are actually a group of guys who have similar personalities, in which the members are Kiro Haiki Funi, who is an overweight woman with purple hair, then Senjumaru Shutaro, who's actually a woman with a golden headdress on her head. Then we have Tenjiro Kiri, Kirenshi, who actually has a rock star hair on his head, like he's from a school full of delinquents. Then we actually have Oisu Nimaya, who actually looks like a hip hop rapper with glasses, which they all led by their leader Ichibi Hyosubi, which he is also an overweight man with beats, which they greet everyone else, knowing of how they wanted to take Ichigo with them to the royal palace, which they knew he can get help there, which they've actually got a call from Kisuke, which Hime and Chad are still alive, which the message comes from Combs' head, which he's made his return since it's hardly recognizable since he didn't show up on the execution arc. But they realized that they had to train to become stronger, knowing of how they were defeated by the new Quincy's, in which they actually got help getting to the royal palace from Kohaku, which she knew that Ganju is doing training as well with the help of the members of execution, which we knew he'll keep getting stronger. That is when we realize of how they made it to the royal palace, knowing that Ichigo will get his Sanpakuto repaired, but they need to get it reforged to something different, which is similar to Ichigo's original designs, in which we see how Tanjiro is actually in the hot springs, knowing of how Sanju Maru have gotten the unconscious bodies of Rukia, Renji, and Byakuya, knowing of how they are too injured to walk. And of course, they actually take them to the hot springs where they're actually being treated for their injuries, knowing of how Tenjiro is known as the hot spring demon, which the hot springs water healed Byakuya's injuries, as well as taking him to the red colored water, which is the blood pond hell, knowing of how this could actually end. But at the end of the episode, we see Ichibi felt the energy presence of the Soul King, knowing that he is awake. Now, the aftermath of the Soul Society battle against the Quincy's, knowing of how everything is gone out of order ever since the Quincy's are actually winning. However, we get to see Ichigo get a new Sanpakuto repaired, knowing of how he's gonna need help, which we see the new squad, known as Squad Zero, makes their return, knowing of how Ichigo is gonna get a new Sanpakuto. So we're gonna see what's gonna happen on the next episode next weekend. So anyway, like this video, subscribe for more, and comment what you think about the episode. You guys can also follow my Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr, and my Facebook page and Twitch. Until then, this is Anime Guy joining you here saying sign out. Laters, and be safe.